From the grid of Memphis to the millions of streams that she has now, today we're joined by a voice built on resilience. She's the country meets rap powerhouse, turning raw truth into anthems. Please welcome Allyson Galloway to the show. This program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Well, welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is Allyson Galloway. Welcome to the show, Allyson.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. A little bit different situation than when we first met just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I don't even know. It's been a whirlwind, but we met at the Josie Music Awards on the red carpet. What a time.
Yes, I will say we had some fun that night.
And it's hard not to with a vibe that high. So many musicians in there. Obviously, everyone can't go home a winner, but to be nominated out of 86,000 plus submissions is already such an accomplishment for so many.
I agree. I was so honored to be there.
Yeah, and just from the red carpet, which I barely got a picture on the red carpet before the people were kicking us out of there, but through Media Village and just everything that was there, there's just such a buzz around the entire evening, and then a pretty full building for an independent music act with no major headliners, right? A lot of people in house at the Grand Ole Opry House.
Yes, a lot. It was so amazing to see all those entertainers and just to be there with everyone. And I got to see a lot of my friends from Nashville, and that's exciting anyways. I just enjoy being out with everybody.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about it through the rest of the interview, but I want to give you a few minutes here close to the top of the show to just allow you the floor and to give us a little bit of your backstory.
Okay. Well, mine's an interesting story, I guess. I'd say I started with not a lot of home life. Some of my home life was kind of bad. My childhood was a little rough, and my parents grew up in the 80s, so you can imagine. And it was a tough time when I was younger. And as I grew up, I had a child at 16, so I didn't make it easier. And once I got through that, I raised him and just continued. And once I continued the journey through, when I continued the journey through raising him, I went into music and I started to do music again. As a child, it helped me through a lot of rough times. So I feel like music's always been in my blood, and I just always wanted to be a part of it some way, somehow. But after that, I started music 3 years ago. And it's been just such a amazing journey. People are so welcoming, and they've just welcomed me with open arms. And on YouTube, I have almost 2 million. And I think we just reached 2 million actually. And that's an amazing accomplishment. I really only went into this saying I want to get 1 million viewers, And now, of course, I know, the impact it can make. I feel like I need to grow even further because my story, I thought it was unique, and unfortunately it's not. And a lot of people grew up the way I grew up, and my grandparents raised me. So being raised with my grandparents and not my parents, it was challenging for me to grow up in a Catholic school on top of it. Catholicism really looks at a lot of marriages as one thing, and you kind of go through it. But with my family, the way that it was a broken home, and I didn't understand it. So going through Catholic school was a little rough too. trying to learn, grow as a child. But I will say the choir and the band, I kept going through all of that. And I was the talk of the school most of the time. So I definitely was always a performer at heart.
That's an incredible story. And that's exactly why I wanted to, have you on for an actual conversation, right? There's very little you can get done in 90 seconds at a red
Yes, that
carpet
was
event
fast.
like this. And obviously you're a very deep person with a lot of not just history, but an inspiring story to share, right? And I'm sure going to a Catholic school, raised by your grandparents already, and then having a child at 16, you gave them plenty to talk about, didn't you?
I
Let 'em
definitely did.
I'm sure they're all watching on YouTube now and looking at the woman you've become and watching you continue to flourish, really chap some people's ass.
Hey, that's the goal. I swear that is definitely the goal. I love the fact that things are working out for me on the music side of things. But honestly, I just want to show people that they're not by themselves, because I felt like I was by myself for a long, long time. And that was because of the people that I'm, hoping this chaps their ass a little bit. And honestly, I just think that growing through this process is really taught me how much music can change people's lives, and people that I never even thought would relate to me actually relate, and that's something in itself. You just never know. Don't judge a book by the cover. Everybody looks at me and says, "Oh, well, she's got it all together. She's got her hair done and her makeup on and everything's good," but ultimately it's a wreck. Like, it's a disaster some days. I even have a new song called Beautiful Disaster that we're going to be trying to put out on the next album. So it's a definitely a beautiful disaster. We can say that for sure.
Well, and while there were many pitfalls and possible tragedies that could have stopped you along the way, it seems like music was a constant for you that you really, dug into and kept going back to, like a best friend,
Yeah.
having the band or the choir that you always had that. And now to see it, really, pursuing music, you say, for the last 3 years and having this and over 2 million streams on YouTube is no joke. It's taken us 6 months to get to 300,000, and we put out a ton of content, right? A lot of that
Oh,
is just
wow.
each video, right? Over 1,000 uploads, each getting a little bit of attention. To have over 2
Um,
million views is insanity. So was that just on like one video or a series of videos, or what were you doing that kind of set you apart?
Well, I think what it is, I'm very honest. I tend to be very honest, and I do live shows on my YouTube. So my live shows tend to get more traction because I'm right there in the moment, and as I'm in the moment, people are like, either they're being mean or they're being nice, or it may be somewhere in between where they're just trying to get to know me or whatever the case is. But I react, and those reactions cause other reactions, and it just becomes this trickle effect where everybody's wanting to know, well, what would she do if I said this, or and so it becomes like, well, some people ask me questions on there, and sometimes they'll ask, how do I do my makeup? What kind of makeup do I use? Things like that. I just kind of answer any questions that are asked, and I try to relate to everyone in one form or fashion, because I think I can. I just have a lot of interactions with people over my life. I was a salesperson for years, so I just have talked to everybody around my area. So pretty much anybody in Memphis probably already knows my name or knows who I am, because I've done so many different jobs with sales and customer service and things like that. So I'm just so used to people. It's like second nature.
It feels like you use, and you're performing live on your YouTube show as well.
Yeah, I get on there and I got a big speaker that I hook up my microphone to, and I'll just get on there and play around. To be honest, I'm not ever serious on YouTube. If you ever see me on a stage, I'll be like, okay, and then I gotta sing right, make sure it's really good. And on YouTube, I'm just like, whatever it is, and I'll just be singing along to Wild Ones, or singing along to Save Me, or whatever. I just kind of sing along to all the different songs, and I play different videos, and some people ask me to play their music, and it just depends. But we really look at music as a healing time for us. We all just get on there and play around, and I can have 100,000 people in my live show just hanging out with me. So it's just kind of like that.
Those are crazy numbers.
It is.
I've adopted the mantra, nobody's listening, mostly to set other people at ease when they come on the show, and letting them know that, hey, this isn't Joe Rogan. We're not gonna put that out there, so don't really worry about what you say, because so many people that we have on, we're a lot of people's first podcast, or really their first foray into that. Being upper Midwesterners, I live in South Dakota, and we don't see a lot of media attention in this way, especially to artists and different things. Now it's growing, it's changing for sure, but we were definitely kind of the tip of the spear in that, in a lot of ways, and still are. So it can be very nerve-wracking for a lot of people to even come on and talk with us on the show.
Really?
And even this is just pre-recorded, right? It's not going live anywhere. It's recorded live, and it's not like I'm going to go back and spend hours and hours chopping it up. But we really kind of pride ourselves on almost having a little bit of a anonymity, right? Anonymity here still, which it feels like you don't really have that luxury anymore.
No, I just kind of, I'm just open, I'm an open book. And honestly, I wrote a book, and I got to where I started writing, and it was like 7,000 words. And I was like, this gets to a level of, I'm barely telling the story at this point with the book. So I'm thinking I need to do like a series of books, and then maybe even the songs. And that's what got me into the music and started writing all the songs, because they're true stories, most of them. And if they are, incriminating, I didn't do it. But ultimately, as far as the actual songs go, they are true stories. And it's based off my life, and I'm trying to tell some of the stories that are going to be in the book. So later on, people will be able to purchase the book. I'd give it a couple years. I'm still trying to get the attention on the story first, just so people can understand. I mean, hell, right now, I'll just tell you, to be honest, even right now, I'm going through hell with my family because of all of this mess with my grandfather passing away. All of my fans know about it, but my grandfather recently passed away in April, and he left me his house because that was my inheritance, I guess, because he raised me. So he left me his house. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was raised at. So because of all of this, he was on his deathbed, and my mother was forging power of attorneys. And we believe she forged the will as well, and created a new will. And now they are partially piecing this house apart, and they're trying to say that I like took from him or something. And it's just a big mess. But now I don't even have enough money to fight it. So what can I do? It went through the court system. Everything's already done at this level. So I've just lost the family home that I had my entire life. And my mother still could care less. And then on top of it, she's kicking my sister out. So it's just a big old mess with all this. Honestly, my family is just awful. I swear, I try to give it a rhyme or reason, but it's just awful situations, awful choices made. I'm trying to break the cycle if I can. That's the goal.
It's a small wonder why people are attracted to you when you get on YouTube. It's
that's what it is. I just talk, and I'm like, yeah, this is what's going on.
Like, I mean, that's how my podcast started, and that's how it continues, is just me being real about where I've been and what I've been through. I spent 2 years in prison for selling marijuana, right?
Really?
So, you know,
Damn.
and I don't ever shy away from that conversation. I think most of our fans on the show know about my sordid past,
Oh,
right?
well.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't change who I am, right? It
No.
doesn't change who's sitting in front of you.
Well,
And
that's what I tell people. I smoke weed. I mean, shit, I smoke a lot of weed on YouTube, so everybody knows about it. So it's not even a big surprise, but ultimately it doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change what I've been through, and it doesn't change what I have to say. And that's the biggest thing, I think. You know, most of the people listen because I think that they've realized I've learned so much over this, chaotic life of mine that I feel like I can, maybe tell someone in a better way of like what I went through and maybe don't do what I did. Like maybe I'm that prime example of don't do what I did, do what I tell you to do. But yeah, that's basically what they do. I even have like some young ones, I'd say 15 or 16. I try not to let too young, but I can't control who watches me. But either way, I try to tell them like, no, if you're 8 and 10 years
yeah,
old,
dude,
maybe go
I
watch
don't know why you
something
have
else.
access to full YouTube anyway, kid.
I
Go to bed.
agree. Like, yes. And I tell them, like, does your parents know you're on here? And they're like, no. But some of them, I'll be honest, some of them say, well, my parents are fighting in the other room, anyways, or
Right.
my parents aren't here, and it's sad to think that that's even possible, but it is the truth. Some kids are alone in a situation where they can get on YouTube like that. And I try to watch what I say and do then, but of course, I can't always shelter everyone. You know what I mean? I
No,
just try
especially
to
if
do the
there's
best I
tens of
can.
thousands of people watching at a time. How you going to police that? I mean, you
Well,
can't ever
I
expect that.
try when I notice the chat and things getting a little crazy, I won't smoke and I'll notice and I'll start entertaining more and we'll start really partying it up then, and trying to play songs that are fairly appropriate. I was gonna say inappropriate, but no, I play the inappropriate ones any other time, but I try to play the appropriate ones for them, just to work it out. And some kids, their parents do know that they watch me and they're okay with that. And they actually watch me themselves. So it's pretty funny. I don't know how it works, but they do. They're very supportive on YouTube.
It feels like you take this attention that you're getting, you take it very seriously and you're not
I,
taking it for granted.
mhm.
And that you feel a certain responsibility to not just be real, but to try to, I don't know if educate's the right word, but at least share your experiences
Yeah.
as straightforward as you can to
Mhm.
help other people. Is that fair to assess there?
Oh yeah. That's the honest to God truth. I got in it. Sorry, it kind of the broken ones is actually the best way to describe it. I have a song called The Broken Ones. It was actually originally written about Jelly Roll. But the weird thing is, I wrote it about Jelly Roll, but it ended up being way more than that. It ended up being about music and how it can impact someone's whole life. And I heard Save Me for the first time, and it changed my life to where I realized that people can write their feelings and then sing them. I did not know in my mind or in my heart that it was that way all the time. Back in the day, I always heard these stories, but I never realized they might actually be true. I always heard these different old country songs. And once I realized they were true, I was like, oh my God, I can write my own stories and sing them. And then I just went off the handle with it and started writing everything. But the broken ones truly tells you what I do this for, and it's for people like me. And as long as I know there's somebody out there that needs something like this, somebody like me, I'm down for it. I'm here. I'm not doing anything else. I figured might as well.
No, and that's something that I've kind of forgotten because I've always had that. I've been writing since I was a teenager and getting these feelings out, and my songs were always very personal. And since starting the podcast, I've kind of put my music career in the background. I'm a songwriter, I'm a musician myself, but I've
Really?
really kind of put a lot of that career aside the last 18 months because I believed in what we were creating here with the scene projects. And
Yeah.
it demanded my full attention, right? Not that I don't play a few shows here and there, but over the course of the last year, I was able to get in the studio with some of the most talented people I know, whether we were in there together or they were overdubbing tracks. And we finally released that out into the world just this week, actually, on 11/11. And
Really?
I'll take the Northern Lights that night in southeastern South Dakota as a good sign that, the music gods are pleased with it. But
That's awesome.
that it's music is healing, right? And so much of what I've done with the podcast has been healing, just talking about it. And I think you know this. I think your YouTube bits that you do are a podcast, right?
Yeah.
You're not necessarily calling it that, but that's what it is. It's
Yeah,
a
a
way
lot of
to
people have
connect
said
with
that.
people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not just you kind of doing your live performance. It's you connecting with your audience and doing that. And I think that's something that now that I'm home a little bit more in the winter months and around this
Mhm.
time of year, South Dakota gets a little cold. And
I bet.
but I think that's going to be a big part of what we continue to do is more live hits and just spending time. I'm always in front of this camera, right? Like this is my
Oh,
battle station. This isn't
me
just
too.
somewhere that I come
I'm the same.
hang out, for the purpose of doing interviews. It's somewhere that I'm spending a lot of my time anyway. So why not just
Yeah.
have the camera on it and be rolling with everyone and to have some really great conversations and to heal people. And I think
Yeah.
that's so cool to hear that, you're really using this platform and this attention that you're getting. And the reason for that attention being that you are healing people. You are finding and reaching out to the broken ones. And I think there's a lot more of us out there, myself included, that need it, that need to feel like somebody's out there that understands them, that gets them, right?
Yeah. And I agree. I felt like that with Jelly Roll, honestly, it was like I hate to say it, but Jelly Roll reminded me of my family a little, and it was a little chaotic and a little messy, but ultimately lovable, and it really became a part of me. And I wanted to try to just do something bigger. I didn't know about writing music and doing anything like that, so I started with the book. And when I started with the book, I met Jelly Roll. And then after I met him, I went to his concert and I saw the impact that he made just on myself. And the impact alone just brought me to music. It changed my life. Seeing his concert at Bridgestone Arena, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And I just realized then I wanted to make an impact like that. And I didn't know how, but I started to sing. And when I started to sing, people took to my voice. I couldn't sing worth shit. I still can't hardly. But when it comes down to it, they liked the voice behind it. And they appreciated what I was singing. So I think that after a while, they started growing accustomed to my actual singing. Because, like I said, I don't know. I don't know how to sing. I have never been given a vocal lesson in my life. I'm just sorry about all. But yeah, I've just done just choir, regular choir. I did a few competitions, but no lesson. And I did band and learned all the instruments, but I don't even play a whole instrument. Like I can play a little bit of everything. So I can pick up an instrument and play a couple of little things, show you a few things, but generally I don't actually play, formally all the time.
It's funny you mentioned Jelly Roll because he was such a big inspiration to me. I mean, I've always done music. I've been in a band or playing on stage since I was, 14, 15 years old. I did concert band and things before that, choir competitions. And like I've always been on stage. And then kind of getting out of prison in 2018, I thought that part of my life was kind of over. Right. I thought that
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, whatever dream you had of being a rock star, connecting with people in that way, that's kind of gone. You're going to, just live a very, a normal life. Right.
Yeah.
And seeing Jelly Roll and seeing, because I thought I was going to have to hide that part of my life. Right. I thought I was going to have to hide those 2 years and the bad decisions before that. And
I know.
what Jelly
Yeah.
kind of taught me was that you're not going to run from those things anyway. If people want to find them out, they're going to. So
You're
I'd
right.
rather just be upfront about it and
Yeah.
tell you that I'm a mess and to let you go,
Exactly.
oh, you're not as bad as you make it seem, right? And you're like, well, you
Well,
should have met me a decade ago, right?
I know what you mean. I know. And I'm the same way. It was 10 years ago when a lot of these stories happened, that I'm telling now. And it was right in the prime of my stupid times. It was the worst 22-year-old craziness that I could ever come up with. Anything. I would do whatever the hell. At one time I told myself I'm gonna write a song about it, but I don't know exactly how I'm gonna work it in. But I rode on top of a car, and I was going like 80 miles an hour. I'm driving on top of a car and I'm just riding it. And it felt like I was flying. It was the most incredible thing I've ever done in my whole life. Like literally, I was amazed with the result of it, but it was terrifying at the same time. So ultimately, I wouldn't recommend it. Don't do what I do. I tell y'all. But I still say, when it comes down to it, I got to write a song about that one day. That's going to be a hell of a song. Maybe feels like I'm flying. Who knows?
I've done the same. I don't know that we were doing 80, but it was just as dangerous. And yeah, I was probably about the same age that you were. I think it was
I
my
swear.
21st birthday party, honestly.
I'm telling you.
I didn't want to celebrate at the bar, so I celebrated in the woods with, piles of
Same
hallucinogens.
here. Yep. It was the woods and there was one track. That was all
Yeah.
all we did while we went 80 is because I had one track. So it was funnest time ever. But yeah,
Don't do
I
it.
say write what you know. Yeah, don't do what I do, like I said. But write what you know. That's the biggest thing. If you can write what you
Oh,
know, people will relate.
awesome. Well, Allyson, I got to let you get out of here. Go ahead and share everywhere that people can find you, obviously on YouTube. And yeah, I'll let you get out of here today.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you so much, and definitely we'll do it again. Maybe I can get down to South Dakota. I'm trying to shoot a music video for a song that we're doing, and I need some snow, so I may have to make
Well,
my way.
we'll probably get plenty of it this year. So
That's
plan
awesome.
accordingly.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it again. Did it break up?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right. I
uh,
was just checking.
yeah, you're good. You got a website or anything that people can go check you out?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess my YouTube is my go-to and my Instagram, but if you look me up Allyson Galloway music, you can Google Allyson Galloway and I am all over that thing. So you can find me any which way. I swear, you might even find my phone number. Try not to though. That's
Please.
what I tell people.
Please. We're trying to do a podcast. Everybody's finding her number online and calling her in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Awesome. Well, Allyson, thank you so much for joining me today. And thanks for being part of the scene.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good one.